Now, last week I talked about The Perfect Neighbor, which is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. So this week I was watching the Charlie Sheen 2-part documentary. You know what I never knew? I never knew Charlie Sheen got offered The Karate Kid. Can you imagine how that would have changed the trajectory of him and Ralph Macchio's career? One thing I will say, Ralph Macchio, The Karate Kid probably helped and hurt him for a little bit. He was like on the cover of all the teen magazines. And then he really kind of went away up until My Cousin Vinny. He had a small part in that. But then when YouTube came out with the Cobra Kai and The Karate Kid, it was a resurgence in his career. So it ended up being a happy ending for him in the end. But Charlie Sheen was saying how they offered him the part and he couldn't do it because he had another obligation. And of course, his career went on to be fine. Has anybody had more of a Hollywood life than Charlie Sheen? I mean, the guy admits to sleeping with women, men, drugs, fast cars, ran with Nicolas Cage, was an A-lister. And I might have shared this story before, but I'm going to share it one more time. When I went to Guam in 97, and after my show, they invited us to go to we're good. Let's record a podcast. I didn't know you were going to be home already. I got like 10, 15 more minutes. So I went to Guam for a show, and after the show, they heard a Def Comedy Jam comic was in town. Now the promoter was a black dude, but I was the comic. So they automatically thought the comedian was going to be black. So they said, "Hey, we're opening up a Planet Hollywood here in Guam. Do you want to come to a little after party up in this hotel suite?" So we go up there, and Don Johnson and Charlie Sheen was the two representatives that they sent over for the grand opening. So we go there. As soon as we walk in, Don Johnson introduces himself to everybody. "Hey, man, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming. We heard the show was great." And then they kept looking at the promoter and asking him how the show was. He was good. He goes, "Yeah, man, I heard you're really funny and stuff." And he's going, "Huh?" And then it hit him. "Oh, no, I'm not the comedian. He's the comedian." And I'm sitting here like, and you could tell Don Johnson went, "What? I thought it was Def Comedy Jam." And so Don Johnson could have been a nicer guy that night. And like I said, sometimes it's all about how you meet people. You know, if I would have just ran up on him at Whole Foods, he might have been rude. But, you know, I'm at the party for them that we got invited to by the powers that be that ran Planet Hollywood. So anyways, chop it up with him. We're having fun with him. Then Charlie Sheen steps into the room. And this is 97. This is when Charlie was at the peak of his career. Wow, man. I don't know what drugs were running through his system. But I always heard there was like, you know, you don't know what you're getting with Charlie. You don't know what Charlie you're getting. And like his assistant or something even told me, he goes, "Yeah, I don't know what Charlie you're going to meet tonight." And then I remember there was a big fruit tray, and I'm standing there, and these grapes, and I'm not exaggerating, that big. And I looked at Charlie, I said, "Man, these grapes are huge." And he goes, "Maybe the grapes are the same size they've always been, and we're just getting smaller." And I went, "What?" So I just kind of faded. And then right when the party was ending, I overstayed my welcome. I stayed too long, which I have a habit of doing. People have told me this. So I didn't know we should already left. So now if the party had 100 people, there's 15 left. And you got Don's there because the hotel was like, Don had a room, Charlie had a room, and there was a huge living room, balcony suite. So they were basically both in the same suite, but they had their own bedrooms. But this is the most classic Charlie Sheen ending to the night. So now I'm talking to Don. We're being cool. Talking to Charlie, we're being cool. And I say, Charlie, when you back in LA? He goes, oh, we're flying back in 2 days. I'll be back. I said, well, listen, I'm at the Comedy Store next Tuesday. And let's say this is Thursday. So I'm saying like in 5-6 days, I'm going to be at the Comedy Store. I said, man, you should come to the show, man. It's at 8 o'clock. It's in the main room of the Comedy Store. And he goes, I'll be there. I'll be there, man. Comedy Store, 8 o'clock. I'll be there. And he's shaking his head. I'm going, oh, snap. I think he really might go. And all I remember, he was sitting between this girl's legs and his hair. She was rubbing his head, giving him a head massage, and his hair was just going straight up. And it just looked like every time she let her fingers leave his hair, it would just sit straight up. And then another girl just closed these 2 French doors. So my last image of him is him sitting at the foot of the bed on the floor, a girl doing this to his hair, and the other girl like slowly closing the door. And I was like, oh, that's some Hollywood shit right there. I remember we just left. I was talking to the promoter. I was like, oh my God, that was like the greatest night of my life. So to watch this documentary, I'm like, I always heard he was very generous. I always heard like Chris Tucker said, like first time they met on Money Talks, like Charlie like just threw him the keys to his Lambo or something. Yeah, take it. I've always heard that about him. But it also, what struck me was back then, he was living in LA. His dad was an actor. His brother's Emilio Estevez. And they were shooting all these little like kid home movies before they were ever really in movies. And Sean Penn was, the people he hung out with growing up, Sean Penn, Nicolas Cage, his brother Emilio Estevez, and then his dad, Martin Sheen. And then I'm going, what are the chances? And then when he said like how he got the part in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which really blew him up, even though it was only one scene, was he was just happened to be friends with Jennifer Grey. And she said, come down, I'm doing this movie with Matthew Broderick, and it'd be funny for you to get in this one scene. And it was like no audition really. He just showed up and the director was like, hey, you're Jennifer's friend? Yeah, you're playing the guy at the police station or whatever? Yeah. All right, cool. It was almost like right place, right time, had the right friends. Killed that one scene, his career's off to the races. So you just never know. You never know in this business, which is wild to me.